I am Joshua Kemble, and I have been a professional artist for over 15 years, doing stuff from illustration to graphic design to now art directing, and I've been at the art director thing for about 6 going on 7 years, and when I'm not doing that, I'm working on my own cartoons and comics. Comics like the recently released 2 stories. Book 1, which is a graphic novel about faith and mental illness. It's a memoir that is hand-lettered, hand-inked, hand-drawn, and handed to you in print right now. So you can get that on Amazon.com and just search for 2 stories, Joshua Kemble. It's out from Marcosia Press, and I'm pretty excited about that being released finally because it was quite a few years of work. So that's who I am, and this is my Vloggins. So on yesterday's vlog, I was concerned because I was feeling like massive inability to work because of having pretty bad allergies to the point where I could barely like focus or see. And I was worried I'd get hit really bad with allergies that night to the point where I wouldn't be able to work. I got home. I actually did feel allergies again, so I took a very quick nap. Was able to wake up, read books to Ben, and then actually power through my workout. And then also on top of getting my workout done, I did manage to get a panel done for the next pitch project page that I'm working on for my literary agent for a collaborative project that we're going to be pitching around. So that gets me one step closer to finish with the pitch project, and that'll basically kind of catch me up. But I was excited to have that done. The one thing I wasn't able to do yesterday that I really wanted to was the live stream, but it's mainly because we have some family staying with us till the end of the week, and it just I didn't want to interrupt. Like, they were watching a film, and I didn't want to have them have to be interrupted for that when I'm already live streaming tonight, when Scott Circlin and I do Artcasters, and we have my friend Nathan Olson on. So yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. Let me see what else. So today is a pretty good day. I'm excited. I'm heading to work and feeling pretty optimistic because I was able to actually get back to the workflow, and I'm hoping to kind of get a lot accomplished tonight. So tonight's Artcasters, and so that should be pretty fun. But I also, hope to get some work done. I usually work on stuff during Artcasters, and so I think that'll be a good opportunity to get further on my pitch project. But make sure you guys tune in on my YouTube channel and watch Artcasters tonight to kind of see me interview my friend Nathan Olson, who's a really good illustrator, was an old friend of mine from grad school, and we actually taught together at Laguna College of Art and Design. He helped me a lot my first 2 semesters teaching there, kind of navigating some of the curriculum and setting up school assignments and stuff like that. It was just super enlightening and helpful. Yeah. So, that being said, now I'm on my way to work. I'm hoping it's a positive day at work. I'm sure it will be. And I'm just, basically gonna talk about some stuff I've been thinking about. So, I don't follow mainstream comics that much, but I had a friend who was kind of on Facebook who leans the opposite side of me politically, who is freaking out because apparently Ta Nehisi Coates wrote an episode of an issue of Captain America in which he makes Red Skull pretty much like present like a bunch of stuff that's a very blatant reference to Jordan Peterson, and is just basically like calling Jordan Peterson a Nazi, and it's actually pretty funny. I read the I read the sections that are like in question, and honestly, they don't seem off. Like, they just don't seem like offhanded, weird comments or anything like that. But what I find funny is the friend who was posting about this stuff is like somebody who quite frequently like tirades against cancel culture, and or what he calls cancel culture, because of this perceived idea that like the left is constantly going around canceling people. And I just thought it was a little ironic, because it's like, meanwhile, he's trying to get Ta Nehisi Coates canceled, and I just thought, I don't know, there's something really interesting about that. So he was talking about how Ta Nehisi Coates shouldn't be writing any properties that he loves and that he's involved in reading, because the guy's like a comic nerd. I just thought, like, what a weird thing to read that like a week after I was reading posts by the same friend about tirading about cancel culture and how dare people cancel other people for saying things. So I just thought that was kind of weird. To me, like, one of the things I'd like to see personally, and I'm not going to get like super political on a lot of these vlogs, but I will probably talk politics just like I do on my live streams or whatever. I'm pretty openly left-leaning politically, and like I'm also equally like okay and tolerant to anyone who has like a differing viewpoint, as long as it's not like personally harming me or my family. But I thought it was funny because, like, this guy, like I said, literally a week ago was tirading about how horrible cancel culture is and how the left just wants to cancel art. And literally a week later, he's talking about wanting to cancel Ta Nehisi Coates, one of the best writers in comics, and just a really solid, amazing writer in general, for making a joke about Jordan Peterson in his book. So anyhow, I don't know. I thought it was funny. I thought it was interesting. I do find like I said, maybe there's more to it that I haven't checked out. But to me, like, one thing that I really value in people is consistency. So to me, it's like, if you want to be consistently against cancel culture, and I'm putting that in quotes because I'm not sure if the form of cancel culture everybody seems concerned about is really a concern. But anyhow, my point is, if you're going to tirade against it and be all about free speech and people of whatever political persuasion being able to work, then you have to be consistent with it and let people of all political persuasions create work. And like calling for people to be taken off of books or writing certain properties, because they talk about something you don't like, is exactly the kind of cancel culture that I think if you're against, you need to be against, like, equally, on all footing. And this is one of the things that irritates me. And I'm not saying it's you guys, like, especially if somebody following me is right-leaning or whatever politically. I can't say this is you, but I have noticed this pervasive tendency to, for like people to point point their finger at other people's sin or other people's wrongs, like, as long as they're on the other side of the fence and the other team, and then just kind of ignore the flaws in your own team. And to me, that just seems like such a baffling thing, where it's like, if you're adamantly against cancel culture, be adamantly against it, whether it's somebody on the left being canceled or somebody on the right. Don't just like pick and choose which cancellation you're going to be upset about, because the second you do that, then you have a double standard, and it gets back to that whole log and speck and eye kind of thing, right? Where it's like, I definitely see that a lot, where it's like I'm seeing, like this friend in particular that I'm talking about, it's like the guy is really fond of taking specks out of other people's eyes as long as those people are on the left. But when it comes to like just seeing their own kind of absurd adherence and committing of the same things that they're tirading against. It's just like they have an inability to see when they're doing that. And I think it's partially that whole, like, it's easy to take specks out of somebody's eye when you have a log in your own. And so, anyhow, that being said, that's something that's on my mind. Other than that, I really hope I have a good work day. I hope I have some productive art time tonight. And I appreciate you guys who are watching this. So I'll check in with you on my way home from work. Let me know your thoughts on that. Like, do you feel like, well, actually, I want to get into that a little bit more, but it's like for instance, cancel culture has been around for a long time before it was called cancel culture, and most of my memory in my lifetime was of like that happening from people who were right-leaning, where it's like, like the whole satanic panic in the 1980s, where like, people were being told like, you can't listen to this album, like these albums should be burned, like sometimes literally having book burnings. The whole history of comic books is full of a lot of cancel culture, and a lot of it from the very far right. Like there's a really great book called The 10-Cent Plague that kind of talks about the early days of comics being made as like floppies. They had book burnings, like literal book burnings, where they were burning the smut of comics, because the comics were kind of would get violent or talk about like horror or romance comics that got a little saucy. Like this is nothing new to art, but what's fascinating to me is seeing the very people, like a lot of the very people that were doing the canceling, now complaining about doing canceling. And once again, sometimes within a week of it, where it'll be like, this is horrendous, it should be canceled, and then being like, but they canceled my guy. Like, no, just, if you're gonna be against it, like, I'm a big fan of free speech. I'm also a big fan of like free markets. So like if a private business wants to cancel somebody for what they say, like, well, I may not personally agree with it, like that's that company's prerogative, and they at the end of the day have to think about their customers. That's just basically how it goes in a free market. Like, so you may not agree with them, like, firing somebody because of some reason, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know, that's kind of how it goes in a free market. And so, I don't know. Anyhow, rambling, a lot of thoughts, not trying to go on a political tirade. I am curious in the comments if you guys have noticed, like, sort of, I don't know, one question is just maybe pay attention in, like, today or the next few days to the people who are complaining about cancel culture. And I'm putting that in quotes again because I'm not quite sure what that even means. But anyhow, people that are complaining about that, and see if they have the same complaints or convictions when it comes to people being canceled on the other side of the aisle. I personally find it interesting, and that to me is one of the things I try to avoid, although I'm human, so of course innately I'm going to have some hypocrisy in what I say, but at the end of the day, like, I do aim for consistency, and I feel like what's wrong for one should be wrong for another. Like, we shouldn't, like, be making too many variations and allowances for our standards, especially if we're considering them a moral standard. So if you're going to be for free speech, and you're going to be, like, advocating for artists having free reign to do what artists do, and a less censorious culture, then you have to be prepared for what that's going to mean for, like, stuff that's published and created that you may not personally agree with. And like at the end of the day, I'm not seeing that kind of consistency, in the people who tirade about cancel culture. What I am seeing is, like, a complaint about, hey, they canceled this book because of whatever. How horrible is that? And then a week later, like, Ta Nehisi Coates should be nowhere near any of the properties I like. And I'm like, wait, well, you're doing the same thing that you're complaining about. So anyhow, just a thought. I will say, I like I said, I don't really read mainstream comics. I do like Ta Nehisi Coates, like as a writer, outside of comics, and I from what I gather and the little I have read, I feel like he's done really cool things for properties that were fairly dull, and he's kind of spiced them up and brought like a literary quality to it. So I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Have you noticed inconsistency when it comes to kind of people complaining about cancel culture? And let me know what you think. I'm gonna head to work, and I'm really optimistic that, because I had a day where I was able to get some art done and stuff like that. I'm optimistic I might be able to repeat that. So, all right. Till then, I'll see you guys tonight. Bye. All right, so I just got off work. I am heading home, and I'm feeling 100% better than yesterday or the day before. So I'm optimistic because tonight's Artcasters should be really fun. We have Nathan Olson on of NATO Media, and I think it's going to go really well. I'm not sure if I'll get this edited in time before Artcasters, but if I do, check out the last Artcasters. This one will be on my YouTube, and just kind of let me know what you think. Let's see. Other than that, I guess my main thought is, have you ever kind of just been frustrated with inconsistency from other political viewpoints or other viewpoints on anything? Because to me, I definitely feel frustration with that, but I don't think I'm alone on that. I think I kind of talked about it this morning, but it's it's weird to me that somebody would make a standard that's really rigid and strict that they only adhere to when it comes to enemies as opposed to friends. And I can understand the nature of wanting to give people in your life or people who agree with you more a pass, but I do kind of feel like we should all be striving, whether people we agree with or not are not holding our own standards. I think those standards should be consistent across the board. If you're not a fan of overly censorious type stuff where people actually come after people's jobs because of things they say, be consistent. Be consistent with it. If you're not consistent, it literally just, I don't know, it makes you look like a hypocrite. And I understand that we all, by nature, have a little bit of hypocrisy, but I think that's something we can strive towards. Let's see. I had a good day at work. Things are starting to open up again in the economy from what it's looking like. I haven't had any negative side effects from getting my Moderna shot. It's the first shot that was about, Saturday. So the only thing that I've felt since Saturday is my allergies kicking up the last 2 days. But that literally happens every year around this time of year. So, yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all the news I have. The only other thing I'll say is just, actually, I can't really think of anything else to say. I'm just basically glad and relieved to be feeling a little bit normal. And I'm hoping that by the time I get home, which will be about an hour and a half from now, I hope I feel the same way. Let's see. Things I need to do is one last thing that I should kind of run over. And sorry if these things, they're very unscripted, kind of off the cuff. These are vlogs. So, sorry if they're a little unscripted and off the cuff. But yeah, one of the things that I really need to do is get more progress done on the pitch pages. I'm excited that I got one panel drawn like finish panel yesterday, but I'd like to make a lot more progress tonight, especially during Artcasters. And I do want to work on music a little bit this weekend, which should be pretty fun. We'll see how that goes. So, other than that, I just really want to get these pitch pages done so that I can get back onto book 2 of 2 stories. And with that being said, yeah, I think that'll probably do it for this vlog. I don't see a reason to belabor it or make it any longer than it needs to be. The last observation I'll make before I kind of close it out is that Outlook has a lot to do with things too. I often will find myself kind of forgetting to try to look at things with a positive outlook, and look for the things that I can do and the things that I can control, instead of focusing on things or situations or things like health and stuff like that somewhat are out of our control, and getting frustrated with the things that are out of my control, rather than focusing on the things I can control and trying to view like a positive road forward, and also trying to maintain a positive outlook. And I definitely today feel like I think part of retaining a positive outlook is doing positive things. So definitely like getting to my workout, overcoming when I got home, it's like I'm exhausted. The last thing I want to do is work out. The last thing I want to do is work on my projects. Just overcoming that like resistance gave me, I think, the fuel to kind of get back on track. So God willing, I mean, who knows? We all are slightly at the whims of how life treats us and stuff like that. But today was just a good reminder to myself to like stay the course, you know, to be optimistic, to try to have a positive outlook, and also also just seeing the hypocrisy that I was talking about before politically and stuff. It's a good reminder to try to avoid that in myself, because I seeing that in other people can actually help me see it in myself as well, where it's like I'm sure there are things where I'm very hypocritical and a little biased to my own side on things, and so I definitely want to avoid that like the plague, because I think it's just one of the most transparently dishonest things, and it's something we should all try to kind of strive to be better on. So yeah, so that's that. I guess that I will see you guys on Artcasters. If you enjoy these vlogs, or you enjoy what I've been doing, you know, and you haven't yet, I'd highly encourage you to pick up 2 stories. Book 1, it's my graphic novel about faith and mental illness. That's a memoir, and it talks about some pretty tough times in my life where I was struggling with severe depression, and my wife was struggling with panic disorder, and sort of gets into how, like, navigating how to deal with that and the fallout from that sort of condition. It's a very heartfelt story. It eventually starts talking about you know, the gaining of faith, which is the second book, and also gets into some heavy stuff. Like the second book that I'm working on is going to get into being a victim of violent crime, and just different scenarios. It's a very heavy book, but I think it's worthwhile, and I highly recommend, if you haven't picked it up, pick it up on Amazon. Just look for 2 Stories by Joshua Kemble, Kemble, and you'll probably be able to get it at a slight discount, because it's been at a lower price the last few days. And I have no idea how to control, or how that's controlled, like whether that's on the publisher's end or on Amazon's end, but I would highly recommend it. Other than that, I will say, if you haven't yet, hit subscribe, hit that bell. Let me know in the comments again. I guess mainly just like, how would you navigate that discrepancy, like the inconsistency of somebody's judgment to one party as opposed to the other? How do you navigate that? Do you yourself struggle with sort of having a standard that you yourself don't maintain, that you judge other people by? I definitely know I am probably very guilty of that. But yeah, I'm curious. And then also, like, how's your outlook going? I hope you guys are having a productive art week, and I hope these videos are interesting to you. It's fun for me to do these little, like, daily journals, basically, and I hope it's of an encouragement to you guys. And I hope you guys are overcoming obstacles and kind of getting progress on your own personal projects. All right, well, that'll do it, and I will see you guys on Artcasters with Nathan Olson tonight. Bye.